Hey, shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in the gospel, raw lifting up the standard of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. This is an article here. I'll briefly skim through it. It says, Bill to change Jackson judges looks like Jim Crow, Mississippi lawmakers say. And we understand the concept of Jim Crow laws, segregation laws, laws that persecuted Jake to the fullest extent to the law, okay, which is draconian laws, when Jake was pretty much penalized for petty crimes, man. Okay, and we keep telling you, man, that this devil, this Esau, this Edomite, he's going to show his horns. He's going to show his true colors because we're in a time of Esau's wrath. Okay, Revelation 12:12 said the devil should come down to you having great wrath because he knoweth he have but a short time. And you got this guy Trump that's allegedly running back for office in 2024, which I believe it's 2024 if I'm not mistaken. But this guy Trump that's pretty much running back for presidency, which, you know, who knows? You know, Lord's will, this place is totally wiped out by then. But he's talking about bringing back capital punishment, such as the fireman squads, guillotines, etc., for capital punishment against offenders, mainly you Jakes. You're going to find out, man, that this man, he's getting ready to bring Jacob on some heinous charges, okay, to accuse our people, like the scriptures say, the accuser of our brethren is cast down, okay, and that's known as Esau, Edom. So anyway, I'm going to play the video here, and we're going to get some information, and we're going to go through the article and get a couple of precepts to show you that, man, this man, he's about his time is up. He's ready to make his move. So let's see what it says. Hold up.
Mississippi is raising eyebrows for some and creating full-blown outrage for others after the Republican-led State House passed a bill that would form a court system of unelected judges and prosecutors to preside over part of the capital city of Jackson and expand the Capitol Police Force. In short, instead of giving the city's majority black residents an opportunity to exercise their voting rights to elect judges and prosecutors, the power would fall to government officials. Joining us now is one of the biggest opponents of this legislation, Mississippi House Minority Leader Representative Robert L. Johnson III. Representative, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start by reading part of your joint statement about these bills. You say HB 1020 and SB 2889 are an insult and a distraction, taking power away from the citizens of our capital city while we waste critical hours sitting around and letting hospitals close and our people die. You go on to say these bills are what modern-day Jim Crow looks like. Explain to us how this bill even got this far along in the process to begin with.
Well, we have a supermajority-led House and Senate and a Republican governor. And as I described them from time to time, they are kind of new to this process. And they don't have any respect for the rules, procedure, or the tradition of the legislature. And so we don't even, there are even opportunities to debate some of these issues. They've just decided that they're just going to run roughshod over the whole process and have what they want.
All right, so just break it down for us in layman terms. If this were to pass, what would this mean for the black residents?
Well, they would essentially have judges who would be appointed by a Supreme Court justice who was appointed by this very governor that is engineering this effort. They wouldn't have any say-so in that judgeship, those multiple judgeships, and so those people would answer to no one who lives in Hinds County. Not only would that judge not be elected, that judge could come from anywhere in the state. And so that the Constitution says all of our judges should be elected, shall be elected. And so this takes that right to vote, that right to exercise their constitutional power from the people in the city of Jackson. So all the cases, I mean, it would be the most important part of this. So all the cases that anybody brings against the state of Mississippi, and we bring them all the time. I'm a lawyer. If you sue the state of Mississippi, they have to come through the circuit or chancery court in Hinds County. There was a time when we were fighting for more money for public education. And one of the things that they wanted to challenge was the constitutionality of the referendum proposal. One of white Republican legislators told his constituents, if we pass this referendum, then you'll have to answer to a black judge in Hinds County. That, there are these little phrases, these invites that they have that always point to race.
Is there a chance that this bill will die in the Senate?
There is a chance the bill will die in the Senate. Thankfully, because of the uproar, because of the push that many of us have had from lawyers to community activists to legislators, I think, and the national pressure from people like, just the exposure from networks, from people like you, they are feeling the pressure. This does look like Jim Crow, like post-Reconstruction. This looks like everything that some of us who are old enough remember growing up through the Civil Rights Movement, the things that we fought to reverse.
But shit, you had Jim Crow laws established in the 1800s, even prior to that. That just played out during the time of the Civil Rights Movement, because the Civil Rights was a ploy that was set up to integrate you back into this man's underneath his jurisdiction. See, the whole point of integration was to put you back under Esau's thumb. It wasn't about equality. It wasn't about you're living equal, because for one thing, you were doing a lot better without Esau. When we were released from the final strongholds of slavery, going into the early 1900s, 1918, 1919, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, okay, you got Red Dawn in Chicago and various other cities throughout the country that Jake was basically so-called black business entrepreneurs, living wealthy, sovereign, or living wealthy, pretty much free of the so-called white man, you know? And then what happened? Esau got whiff of it, and then he came and he tore down your cities, he bombed your villages, took over your businesses, killed your sons, your daughters, your women, put the men in jail, tortured. And then that whole concept of civil rights came about to make you, they basically had to play a psychological mind trick on you, because they knew that you could be sufficient without them. So what happened was, okay, well, let's do the civil rights movement, and let's give so-called Negroes the illusion of wanting to be free or to be equal with their Edomite counterparts. Therefore, we can control them systematically by incorporating particular laws. Then you had what they call the cocaine pandemic that hit the streets in the 80s during the Reagan administration, the 90s, AIDS, etc. And since then, since you've been integrated with this man's society, it's been a systematic attack on you. And you're playing it out now, man. Feminism, okay, with the breaking up of the homes, which is women's lib, the crack epidemic, man, AIDS, the 3 strikes law. And there's several more other atrocities that they've done to you systematically under your fucking nose, man. So Jim Crow, man, it's been around for a long time. But see, this is what's going to happen if this is allowed to go through. Because if you watch the movie The Dark Knight Rises, in the time of habeas corpus, I believe they established that when in time, I believe habeas corpus is, I think that's established. No, I'm thinking when you have the hour of martial law and you have no particular acting government, the people, they become pretty much law. Okay, and what happened was they took over the courts of law, and then they elected their own officials. And the rich of the society, which is actually a righteous thing, they cast them out and they pretty much sentenced to exile or death on the spot. So with this unofficial elected cabinet or particular judges or what you want to call this court system, unelected judges and prosecutors, they pretty much gonna have their way with you and do what the hell they want to do, man. Okay, hence Jim Crow. All right, and this fucking video is taking forever to upload, but anyway, so this is a similar fashion of what they did during the time of the Maccabees, because what he did, Antiochus, he had counselors coming into various cities in Jerusalem to enact these particular laws. Either you wanted to get down with Antiochus in the New World Order, or you was put to death. Okay, and it's going to be a similar fashion when this coming system, because intel came out that basically what they're doing is doing away with the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution is not allowed to exist during the time of a globalist takeover or the New World Order. Okay, the New World Order is going to be a world without constitutional rights for the citizens. So you're not going to have any rights. You're not going to have a right to travel or a right to vote, or you're basically just going to have a right to take the C-hip and shut the hell up, or we going to throw you in prison or put you to death. Okay, So anyway, this is the book of First Maccabees, and I'm gonna start at start at 29. It says, and after 2 years fully expired, the king sent two of his chief collectors of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with the great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. It says, for when they have given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel. See, and this is what happens when you simple as Jakes, you believe in the voting system. Okay, like I said, to integrate
Representative,
you was never,
curious. I know your intention is to stop it, but let's just play.
Salakia, integrating you was never a benefit. Okay, segregation was the best thing for our people because we was pretty much self-sustained outside of their approval, you know. And Esau knew that, so he was like, "Wait a minute, man. These men they're not gonna get up over me. I gotta somehow put them back under my thumb." And that's when you had the civil rights movement, man. All right. So, anyways, let's listen to the rest of the video and get a couple more precepts. It wasn't meant to be a long lesson.
Devil's advocate here. Are you concerned that if this bill does become law, would it create a new template for a Republican fight for the years to come, similar to what's happened with critical race theory law, for example?
Well, yes. Look, we tell people, we've been telling people all over the state, this is not a Jackson problem. This is a Mississippi problem. If they're going to do it to Jackson, they'll do it to Greenville, Greenwood, anywhere they want to go. They want to create a city within a city that just serves a particular segment of the population. This capital city complex has a disproportionate white population, doesn't represent the actual per capita demographic in the city of Jackson. And this is a template for what they'll do in any city that has Black or African American leadership. And so, yes, the danger is that this is the route Republicans will continue to do in places where they lose political power.
Mississippi Democratic Minority Leader Representative Robert Johnson III. Hey, we thank you so much for your time and your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so this man is getting ready to show his horns, man. Okay, and you Jakes in Mississippi, because I mean, I believe Jackson is probably like fucking 80% Jake, you know, but they're led by a highly racist government. The city of Jackson is highly racist, man. If anybody know the history of Jim Crow and Jackson, Mississippi, and just Mississippi and down south in general, you know, you got to have a special spirit to survive down south, man. Me, shit, yeah, right. You know, but anyway. It says, and spake peaceful words unto them, but was all deceit. For when they have given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and poured down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. But the women and children they took captive and possessed the cattle. And they then builded the city of David with the great strong wall with mighty towers and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therefore a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. And they stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there so that they became a sore snare. Okay, so that's the point. They besieged the city and they took over and they set up laws in order for Jake to follow, okay, which was outside of the law, statutes, and commandments, okay? And that's what this New World Order is all about. So it makes sense that they're getting these particular government officials to come in and change house because they don't give a damn about you, Jakes, man. Okay, they don't care about you. The hatred is there. Okay, Psalms 94, and I'm gonna start at verses 20. It says, should the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, with such framing mischief by law? And that's mischief. Now, when you go into the word mischief, see what it says here. Going to Hebrew word amalah, and it says toil, trouble, labor. Okay. Trouble, mischief, labor. And you think of labor and you think of slavery. All right, so let's see what it says here. I'm gonna look up. Cultures, job markets. It's a form of slavery. Anything that's dealing with labor or jobs or whatsoever is basically slavery. Okay? Framing mischief by law. And that's what Esau does. He decrees unrighteous decrees. Okay, and we telling you, Jake, right here, right now, that he's getting ready to come down with everything he has because he has a short time. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 28. And this is Deuteronomy 28. And let's start at verses Let's start at verses 48. It says, therefore should thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and thirst and nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck till he have destroyed thee. Okay, and that's the point. That was slavery, but now we have what they call a paper yoke. Okay, through contracts. Okay, they got certain legislations and certain contracts that's set up for Jake to fail. Like you got what they call the HOA laws. Okay, or the HOA or organizations over these particular developments, mainly over these real estate developments. You still got properties that's on the books that they're technically not allowed to even rent to Jake. Like Compton is technically should no niggas be in Compton because the HOA laws haven't really changed. But they realize like, well, look, you know, if we put these people in one area, you let them contaminate it enough, bring the property value down, they'll do what we want to do. They'll take each other out. So therefore, they don't have to change the HOA laws when these niggas are going to kill each other anyway. But it says, and then shall the Lord bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, and a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which should not regard the persons of old, nor show favor to the young, man. Okay, and Esau, he didn't show favor to the young. Okay, look at slavery. Look at Emmett Till. Look at our little girls, our little boys, our little girls, man. Sex trafficking. Esau didn't give a damn, man. It was nothing for him to kill an Israelite baby. They basically had what they called sporting games when they basically would use the little black baby, whether it be a boy or girl, as alligator bait. The alligator come up on a kid, and Esau, the alligator would devour the kid, and Esau would take the pitchfork or the javelin and stick it through the head of the fucking alligator, and it would kill the kid if the alligator didn't get to it first. Okay, that was a common practice. Whole concept of gynecology goes into studying the female genitalia. When they used to take these tongs, like the pap smears, they had what they call like those big ass ice tongs. They used to carry the blocks of ice back in the day. They had utensils like that, and they used to practice on ripping the babies out of the women's insides, man, which is basically your ancient or your modern day abortion, so to speak. They used to literally rip the baby out of the Israelite woman's stomach, whether it was through horses or cattle's, or they would just do it physically through physical exertion with particular tools. So a lot of the tools you see in the medical practice was a lot of those tools they used back before the American Medical Association was established back in the 1800s. Gynecology, right? You know, so this man is the devil and he's gonna show his horns. And we keep telling you, Israelites, man, take heed, man. You know, he's getting ready to come down. He's getting ready to he's getting ready to show his true colors, man. And that's all I can really say about that. All right. This is the book of Baruch 4. And I'm going to start at verses 4. This whole chapter is good. Yep, this is the book of Baruch 4. And I'm going to start at verses 14. It says, let them that dwell about Zion come and remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting have brought upon them. For he have brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation of a strange language, who neither reverence old man nor pity child. Okay, and we just read that in Deuteronomy 28:49. That's the precept right there. Okay, it says that he Salakia. But it says he never reverenced old man nor pity the child. Okay, so they just say if they get these Jim Crow style draconian laws set back up down south and just throughout America, period. How many cop killings that's gonna go unjustified? I mean, or how many cop killings that's gonna go unpersecuted, so to speak, or unprosecuted? How many murders? I mean, they're shooting Jake in the back without any repercussions, but how many more? It's getting ready to get bad for you, Jakes, man, because you don't have the Lord on your side, man. And this is the How about Shemi Habushai. He's doing this to our people because they failed to repent, because they're still trying to live the American way when the Lord told us to come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of our sins. So we're supposed to come back to our power and seek revenge. All right, Ezekiel 35, and I'm going to start at verses 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, says the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee into blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And thus I will make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from him that passeth out of it, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains, which is his countries, his governments, with the slain men. In the hills and thy valleys and all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. And I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and you shall know that I am the Lord, man. Okay? Because, hey, check this out. It reads here, it says, because he has a perpetual hatred. Perpetual goes into everlasting or continual. Okay? After slavery, he didn't give us the 40 acres and a mule, which that's lowballing us compared to the free labor we've built this shithole up. But he still continued to lay a heavy burden upon us, man, because most Jakes are caught up in the child support system, man. Okay, most Jakes don't have enough money to rob Peter to pay Paul. You know, they're steady. They said the average black man only earn between 33,000 and 40,000 a year, while the average Edomite earns up to what, 55,000? So you do the math on that. You see, last precept here. This is the book of Joel 3. And I'm going to start at verses 19. It says, and Egypt should be a desolation, and Edom should be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, which is the so-called black man, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Judah shall dwell forever in Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. For the Lord dwelleth in Zion. So this is a future prophecy. And Lord's will, we at the end of this thing. So anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. And with that, shalom and a bubble ball.